I would like to call the Water Commissioners meeting of May 13th, 2024 to order at 7 o'clock. Meeting room is 54 Main Street, but we are meeting virtual. This meeting is being recorded by Zoom, and TCAM is recording it. It will be uploaded to YouTube shortly thereafter. Roll call members present. Todd Melanson, Chair.
Nathan Madala, Vice Chair, present.
Jessica Fanioli, Clerk, present.
Could I have a roll call of residents or others present, please?
Dave Vishon, Superintendent, present.
Jazz Sexton Duranian, liaison to the Select Board.
1.4, I have no additions or deletions. 1.5, the minute meetings of last month are not ready yet. 1.6, review correspondence or public comments. I do not believe there are any. 2.1 is open. 3.1, lawsuit funds. I think we all sat and listened to me talk about it last meeting, about what I thought would be best financially planning wise for our future, especially for the ratepayers, of putting those into funds primarily, depending on how much there is, primarily for the long-term operation and maintenance of the filters, the change out of the GAC, which currently can be expensive. And I think as more of these systems come online, that cost has the potential to go up. So anything we can defray, in my belief, defray the costs of that over the long term and not rely solely on rates would be a good thing. We all said that we would sit and think about other things. It all depends on the legal language of what comes in on the lawsuit or what it can be used for. But I will relinquish the floor and let Nate and Jessica. Nate, if you want to take up, and then we can and Jessica can go after you. All right.
Do we not have meeting minutes? I missed that. I'm sorry for.
No, we do not. They're not ready. Yeah, they're not ready yet.
Okay. Just as a point of order, we're on
3.1.
Yep.
So yes, right. So the lawsuit funds, as long as it's done, as long as we can get a decent return and it's a responsible way to invest, then I would certainly be on board with that.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with any specifics or of how we would go about that. I understand there's different rules that we have to follow from DOR.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I've been doing a decent amount of research on it, and kind of leaning on people that have done it in the past. Talked to town council about it briefly. So, I mean, the mechanisms are there. I think we would have a better idea, Nate, once we get an idea of how much there is. If we dedicate it solely to the GAC change out, or if we make a couple and one have like an infrastructure fund and then the other be the GAC or whatever. But a lot of it will be determined how much it is and what we're looking at for GAC costs. So, but just so long as we keep talking about it, and it doesn't have to be every meeting, but I would say let everybody know occasionally, every couple of meetings or so, that's on our radar.
So I have some updates for that.
Well, let Jessica talk, and then we'll get back to you, Dave. Okay, Jessica, please.
I would be down with anything that's legal and that's going to save us money or make more money. If we can do something like that where we can put money aside into an account and it's okay for us to make money and put it back towards something, then I think that's a good idea.
Well, it definitely is legal. It's just there's different ways to go about doing it, and there are different types of funds. I think one avenue is going to be better for us than the other. In talking to Adam, I didn't know, Chaz, had you talked to Adam yet?
Yes.
And I forget the way he said to do it, but
Well, I also want to throw out that in in the last meeting that we had, the last town meeting, the town agreed to adopt the prudent investment rule,
Yep.
which basically means that in the regular investment rule, there's probably like 5 or 6 different vehicles of available investments to be able to put those funds in. In adopting that, it opens it up to probably 10 or 15 more vehicles that we would be able to do. Some are more volatile than the other. Volatile meaning some have higher interest rates than others. If you have a higher interest rate, it's usually locking it in for a period of time. It's something that you'd want to also talk with the treasurer about to see what's available at each given time. But Adam feels that, for at least this is how he communicated to me, is that this is exactly what these rules are set up for, to be able to, if you have if you have long-term maintenance in regards to especially a new building like you're doing, having something in a sustainable account is probably the most wise you could possibly do.
okay. Dave, you said you had an update.
Right, so DuPont and 3M are paying off the third quarter of this year on the first disbursement. They're going to pay the rest of it off in over a 13-year period. Tyco is mid-November for a payout, and again, they're going to pay the rest of it out as a maintenance for the next 10 years. After that, sometime this week, there's a fourth company that is settling, and Hank Norton couldn't tell me yet what company it was because they didn't announce it.
Okay. So when you say third quarter, Dave, does that mean
July
so-
to October,
Okay.
and,
So we should see-
it's multi-millions.
No, I that I knew. Well, at least a few. I would. Well, To us,
three
it-
to 4
yeah.
is what we're looking at right now.
All right. So as we get closer, can you get Hank to put that in some sort of writing, so the three of us, and Chaz as well,
More than I've already sent you guys.
or something a little bit more recent? All right. That you could send to us, so we can just start looking and planning in number wise.
Well, the number they gave that the chart, but there's nothing solid right now. But they gave the chart about 6 months ago,
All
where you
right.
can estimate.
Could you send us the chart and kind of circle where you think we might be?
Yeah,
All right. Thank you.
we're getting
Jazz,
money for each well.
Okay. Nate,
Did it just raise my hand for me? Oh, that's my cursor.
you did. You raised. You physically
I
raised
was
your
like,
hand.
wait a minute. I saw the cursor. Is right. Okay. Anyway, I'm like, wow, that's weird. Hey, we have the technology.
I want what
I would-
he's having.
Yeah.
Right?
I tell you what. So I would if we could just include that information in a meeting and discuss it in a meeting.
Yep.
That'd be as long as it's appropriate to do so. Because if there's ongoing,
I think we could do the ones that are settled, Nate. I think the fourth one that Dave just talked about, where it's still litigant, I don't think we can. But the other three, where they've already settled, I think we can.
I just want to say, personally, I have reservations of accepting money from companies that have had their hands swatted, that are just going to keep doing this. If this lawsuit hasn't halted the introduction of the purpose of this lawsuit, the chemicals and the possible repercussions from these chemicals being introduced into people, and it's I don't want to say it's a bittersweet moment, but like it doesn't seem right to me.
No, it's a
So-
conflict. I would say in that defense though too, um, that the state attorney general's office have similar actions going on. The problem being is if you look at like asbestos, the makers of asbestos sued and went all the way to the Supreme Court and won. What they came to say is you can ban a substance, but if it is the primary vehicle of your industry until there is a viable alternative, you can continue to make and use it. So like your car brakes are still asbestos. So they do make them for certain asbestos for certain applications because they haven't found something that will work or that is a viable option. So PFAS and PFOA and PFOS are already stopped. There are very few people that do make that right now. And none of them are in this country. They've gone on to newer and better ones, and those are some of the ones that are like in the hazard index under the EPA regulations. And some of them, we can't still detect. I mean, there's anywhere, depending on what journal report study you read, there's anywhere from 4 to 12,000 of these compounds. We can only see 48. So but if it helps our residents and helps keep what our costs are, I don't see we have a choice. Nate, I'm right with you. I think you said it best. Bittersweet is a correct way to put it, but to do what's best for our residents or our water takers, I think, I don't think we really can give up on this if it helps us keep the maintenance costs down.
Oh, certainly, I don't suggest giving up.
I don't either. I'm about as stubborn as they come, Nate. Jess, you got anything to add on this one?
I got nothing else to add.
All right. Nate, you all set?
Yes.
3.2 master plan. I'll take the commissioners first. Nate, you went first last time. I'll let Jess go first this time. Did you think about anything that you would want to add beyond some of the stuff we discussed last meeting, Jess?
No, I think we discussed a lot of good things last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I like where the department is heading. I like what Dave has come up with. I like that we're adding more water takers. I like that we're improving things. I like everything about it.
Good enough. Nate, you're up. You got anything you would like to add to it?
Master plan, do we already have sections of main replacement in there?
Yes, sir.
I can't think of anything.
Good enough. Dave actually sent, if you got a chance to look at it, let's see if I can find it. Kind of like a master plan of,
It's a master plan, maintenance plan.
of things that as they need to get taken care of. He's got a fairly good, you want it to be anywhere from 5 to 10 years. And it's a guideline so that if something comes up that was unexpected, you can move something that has a lesser priority and fix what is broken, so to speak. But I think that's good. But go ahead, Nate.
Are you referring to something that's out of the meeting packet? Because I'm not seeing this.
He sent it today. I'm sorry.
It's called building plan and construction schedule.
I did see that.
It's something
All right.
for you to look at for the next month and see if you want to add anything to it.
Okay.
Dave, did you send
apologize,
that to my work email? Because I don't have that in my other email.
I probably did.
Okay.
All right, so we can talk about that next meeting.
Right.
Can I throw
Um,
something out there on that,
Sure.
Todd? Um, we're looking at for education and outreach, especially for students in the area, Dave. Is there anything in your master plan for that?
That it will now, because that we've discussed that. That's what a lot of the classrooms set up for.
Yeah.
And to give outreach and maybe when if we have a class there to give it to some kid, because we're going to get two seats per class,
Right.
and that since all our operators are licensed, we won't need that unless we have a new employee.
Yeah.
But we can give it to high school kids around the area and start training people to be water workers
Mhm.
and give some kid hope that he didn't have.
So one other thing too, and this would be for Dave and Chaz to follow up on. When I was in Chelmsford, I was part of a program called Innovative Pathways. It is a program being pushed by the state. What it does is it introduces as freshmen high school students to different industries in different brackets, biotech, business, accounting. We filled in as water. If we have this ability with the new facility and to have seats, Chaz, if you could bring up to Brad, because there is actually monies available to get the program running, and I think it would be a good thing for us to consider, the school to consider, and you just need people to sign on as co-sponsors, because the junior and senior year, you take them in as interns. So if they want to go to college, they've had introductions to industries and businesses that they normally aren't accustomed to. I mean, how many high school kids work at Dunks on Elm Street or Main Street, McDonald's, and some of the other places? This actually gives them introduction into viable things. They can go for like water, they can go right into it. The one in Chelmsford, their program actually pays for the testing up to T2 and D2. So that would be something that I would, we can take advantage of the facility and kind of work in cooperation with the schools. I think that would be something that a lot of people around here would be supportive of.
Yeah.
But that if you would bring that up to Brad, I would appreciate it. I didn't even think of using the facility, Dave, in that manner, and which it kind of makes the two of them click.
So getting back to what he was saying, that's why this is the only treatment plant in New England that has a classroom inside the treatment plant. And we got lucky that we could put it in there.
Okay.
So, but I got that written down, so that'll be incorporated. But getting back to Ty and Bond, I asked them to they haven't given me the contract yet. So,
For what?
because you have to have a contract for the master plan, which I'm going to bring back to you when it's ready. We're going to break it down into pieces.
Yep.
So, and we're going to see what we can afford.
All right, and what we can prioritize too. So that's
Correct, but it's a lot of it, like doing a study on flow may take a year to be able to afford it, because right now we have a lot that we're on our plate that we're doing, and it's gonna strain us a little bit, and that the fact that we had wet weather last year doesn't put as much money into our accounts.
No, I get that, but I don't know about anybody else, but anyone I've talked to in town to get them to buy into being patient with us was the idea that we would once the plant was up and running, start working on clearing this system. And I don't think without the, I always mess this word up, but the hydro model and the unidirectional flushing plan, I don't see us being as successful as we need to be. I'll go back to when we did the ice pigging, and they didn't have it gated off right because they didn't have the gate set right. I just want us to be able to deliver on
Right.
what we've told people. So that would be one of my priorities, anyways.
Right, but it's not that is going to cost us for that part of it $75,000 to $100,000.
Well, that's something. Maybe we put it
So
out
it's
to bid.
when we can afford to do it.
Or maybe it's something we put out to bid. And we don't have to completely use one engineering firm if something's out cost. Maybe we see what the costs are. But let's cross that bridge when we come to it.
Right.
All right.
That's why we're waiting for the contract.
All right. If we're all set on the master plan, 3.1 signatory of warrants. What is this about?
So I had Brenda put this on the agenda because when I was on the school committee, we had basically one person that was responsible for signing the warrant for everybody. And because getting 9 people to get to sign things was a chore. So I just threw it on there just so we could have a discussion about it and see how you guys felt about that.
Well, I think
So-
Nate, I'll let you go first.
So we do have a signatory, and currently, or unless, I don't know, would that carry over from the previous board to this board? Yeah, I think I was the last designated signatory, and with all the projects that were happening, I said, really, we should have at least the other commissioners should be seeing and made aware of these physical invoices that we're receiving before a signature is actually put on it. And while we do vote to sign out of session, it makes me very nervous to have one person signing where all these things are coming in on a week-to-week basis, but we only meet on a month-to-month basis.
So I'm kind of with Nate, especially where we have the stamps now, and where you're very specific in the email. I've been as responsive as I can. I usually get them done within a day or two of Brenda sending them out. I like that we pay everything week by week. Makes us more financially responsible, and hopefully it makes the town look good when the audits come. It at least makes our department look good if we're paying things on a week-to-week basis. So I think where we only have, if we had a board of 7 or 9, Jess, I would agree
Sure.
with you. Where we got 3,
Sure.
and technically it only takes 2 to sign it. But I think having all 3 of us sign it, it's the least we can do for the water takers, because we've asked a lot of them in the last couple of years. So if you don't mind, I don't think we need a vote. I think keeping it the way it is, is in our best interest. Anyone have anything else to say on that?
Well, just so you know, I only spent $1.6 million this month on the building.
Uh-huh.
Only?
Only.
You can do better than that, Dave.
Don't worry, this next month.
Don't encourage him. Let me see. All right, commissioners' updates and reports. 4.1, water quality testing vendor.
I had put this on the agenda. I had some discolored water today. I went home to fill up my water bottle, and I said, "Oh, gee, like this." I had like coffee coming out of my tap, and I said, "This is that's like really a little bit of discoloration." But that's what I was seeing was like when someone has a full open hydrant or something like that, So I called the water department, and then I called the highway department. I called the fire department, but I didn't. Nobody. There's nothing conclusive. I don't know if you guys found out what was going on.
We did a
Nate?
2-inch line when broke in somebody's basement.
Wow.
Oh. Who has the
Where-
2-inch line in their basement?
Whereabouts
And
was
that
that?
one's it actually was two separate breaks, but the first one was the ice cream stand on Main Street.
Oh, okay.
And that's a 2-inch line. And the other one was the rec center. But the rec center was much smaller. The rec center was
Right.
250 gallons per hour, and the other one was 850.
That's
When
a
did you
decent kick.
discover these leaks?
Well, we discovered first thing in the morning. We told them, but we didn't know how bad they were, because when we tell all the residents if they have a leak, but then we found out how bad it was late this afternoon. So
All right.
the discolored water came after they shut it off, and when you shut it off, if you shut it off too fast, it creates a rebound in the water lines.
Dave, maybe we put that on when we're done here. If you could put a discolored water notice on the water department Facebook, just so
Yeah, it
people know.
was 3 houses, and I call it the mixing line between the wells. And what happens is that moves and it creates a line right on the map. So it was 20. Nate's house. You're 21, right?
23.
23, 23, 20, and 2 School Street. Those are the 3 we got. It's
Okay.
created a line where the mixing is.
All right. But just put that on
Yeah.
with the instructions on how to clear. The other thing is we're noticing there was a group of us talking, at least out my way, with the irrigation systems coming on. That first kick, if you notice an irrigation system coming on in your neighborhood, I would maybe wait an hour or so before trying to use any water, because that kick of that
Yeah,
coming
going
on.
off topic.
All right. Well, no, just colored water he brought. Anyways, back to
Water quality.
Labs.
water. Yeah, but back to the water quality vendor, testing vendor.
So yeah, hi. I've been seeing invoices for Melport, which is on Elm Street in Milford, and I was looking at the numbers, and I was like, through my rigor of going through all these old documents I have, I said, wait a minute. I said, we use Neshoba, and I was like, why did we switch? So I didn't get any good answers, so I did a little bit of sleuthing and found out that we can save about 2,652 dollars a year just by switching or going,
So-
going back with Neshoba.
I can answer that one because no one's asked.
Dave.
Can I finish, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to
and
say
not
something
only that is that it's closer. It's gonna, and then once you open up your facility, in relation to the facility, home base, whatever you will, it's going to be even closer than. And well, I don't know if the company's actually in Massachusetts, and regardless of how I personally feel about the state of Massachusetts, it's nice to keep the money in the state versus bring it to New Hampshire.
So, couple things. I would agree with you. I knew the owner of Neshoba. It is not the same. It is owned by Granite State Analytical out of New Hampshire. They have made some corporate changes. They are. It puts the operators at risk. They do not notify. So there's different levels. If you test positive for total coliform, that's an indicator. It's not a boil order. It's nothing. But they are supposed to notify you. The previous owners of Neshoba understood the importance to the operator because you have time to resample, and you can resample so many times. They made a corporate decision to change that to an email. And sometimes you wouldn't get the email till later that night, potentially the next morning. That puts your ability to resample at risk. Operators like Dave, myself and some others made choices to move away from that, because it does put the utility and the operator at risk of not being able to respond appropriately. Water testing is probably one of the places I'm not going to go to. I couldn't support going to the cheapest entity, or the most fine. Not cheapest is the wrong word, but the lowest cost. So I would say that is part of the reason why a lot of people have changed away from that. I was sad to see the change. It was a lot more customer friendly, I would say, and they had a good understanding of what their service meant to utilities, especially smaller ones like us. And I know there have been quite a few that have changed over. I mean, they got rid of a lot of stuff. There's very few things that are left that are done in the state of Massachusetts. They're more like a brokerage. Stuff comes in and they send it out. That makes me uncomfortable, because the more hand you have in the pie, there's the greater chance of missing a sample, dropping it, losing it in transport, violating a hold time. I would have much preferred everything stayed at Neshoba. But that's some of the reason why I know that people like myself changed. So I'll let Dave explain why he changed, and then we can talk about it. But getting down to it, it is an operator's decision because it's his license on the line.
Right. So several times that Neshoba failed to tell us there was a positive coliform hit. Coliform is an E. coli. It's just an indication. And I got emails from a hit on Tuesday, on Thursday or Friday. And they're supposed to call right away, because we have 24 hours to respond by law, to respond to a positive hit, to retest. We asked them to correct it, and it happened 3 times in a row. And then then I could not, in good conscience, stay with that company, and we looked for another one who's going to actually respond to us, and they'll respond to us even on a Saturday, and they'll give us a phone call, and not an
And they do their testing on site.
right.
Yeah, they do.
So Neshoba doesn't do their water tests on site. They
I think they do that. I think, yeah. So there's two things. They won't take samples on a weekend. They still do bacteria in house, but a lot of the other stuff that they used to do, they don't. They ship to wherever Granite State is. So a lot of stuff that came in, a lot of the instrumentation that they had, I guess it's a corporate decision, because why main certification on instrumentation at 2 different facilities? I can't speak to it of why. They did it. They got rid of all their wastewater certifications or work. So they, just like us, wastewater has certain discharge permits, some testing requirements, and from my understanding is they got rid of all of that. So there were a lot of like local small water operator systems that operated wastewater package plants at a facility that were left high and dry and had to find other places. So I can't speak to why they did it, Nate. I just know that there were more than a few of us that were unhappy with their unwillingness to change to a certain degree, and kept to that policy. I never got the 2 or 3 days, but I did have something more than once that exceeded 24 hours. Let's just say my Army sergeant came out in more than one conversation. It's not something you want to screw around with. So those were the changes that were made. I don't think there's anything closer, to be quite honest with you, between Neshoba. The only way you could do it is labs have courier services, but then you end up paying for that too. So I think we have the best of bad choices, I guess. Nate, I would have preferred to stay with Neshoba where it's right around the corner. And they were always so responsive and really understood the importance of what they did and the importance to us. And that changed at some point. And I don't have a good reason for it. I just know that Dave isn't the only one that noticed or has made mention of it. So, do you have anything else, Nate?
No, that's good. I wish I had gotten that answer when I initially asked. But yeah, certainly you don't want to mess around with very important samples. But I thought I was doing us a service by trying to make a savings. So
No.
Oh, no, Nate, can I say something? Keep doing that. You know, because it's just a check. That's what I want most from the commissioners is you know, if you can, it's, you know, if there's something that I may have overlooked, I want you to bring it up. So keep doing things like this.
I agree with Dave.
All right.
See something,
All right.
say something.
All righty. Let me see. Let's liaison update and reports. There's nothing here, but Mr. Do you have nothing to add, Chaz?
I always have something to add, but no, sir, I don't.
All right. Good enough. 6.1 Superintendent report, please.
Okay, first is construction. Right now, the water line's installing gates and hydrants, and they'll be doing the dam directional drill sometime in June, which is on Emery Street. Testing
Who's
will be
doing
done
that,
in
Dave?
June. What?
Who's doing the directional? Is it Shepherds?
Shepco is they bought a machine,
Okay, good enough.
and then they'll be doing testing in June to put the water main in operation in July. Then they're going to be adding the services and paving the road in August and September. The building is moving along. Sheetrock, the roof, and ground improvements in retention pond are beginning this week, and it'll take about a month. Main Street generator was delayed for a few weeks to mid-June. The SCADA system upgrades are commencing. We're waiting for DP to sign off on Main and Cross Street for chlorination. But
Sure.
that we don't have to have that till the treatment plant goes online, which DP has said we must chlorinate
No.
at that time. But all the tanks and pads are in place. The meter in lead service line inventory is at 45%, and that's it.
Does Jess, I know Nate and we've discussed it in meetings before, but do you want to know what horizontal drilling is? A brief description?
Yeah, that would be great.
Basically, everyone thinks drilling goes straight up and down. Horizontal drilling allows you to not have to dig a trench through a brook or stream and be able to go in at an angle, go along. They actually control the head, and it can come up fairly close to where they want it to be. So instead of having to dig past the dam and stuff like that, they're going to horizontally drill and pull it up on the other side. And that way you don't disturb wetlands, and they do it under rail lines and things like that. You put what's a jacking cone in there, and then you go through with the line, or they drill and then you pull the plastic back through. If you get the chance, it's actually really cool, at least for a water geek like me.
Science is amazing.
But it is, there you go. But it is an incredible technology. It allows us to go places we probably didn't before with water lines, or not easily anyways. So there's that. Dave, on the chlorination pads you were talking about, we have the containment areas we need for
The
those storage
chlorination
tanks?
pads are the containment areas.
Okay. You said pad, and the containment areas got walls.
They're hollow pads.
Okay, good enough. That's all I wanted to hear. If does anyone have anything else to add to the water superintendent's report? Nate?
no.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go right ahead, sir.
Dave, with your updates to SCADA, are they doing patches and stuff for to keep those updated
What do you mean?
as far as the computer and your reporting?
Right. So the only doing is we're going from a radio-based system
Yeah.
to a cellular.
Okay.
Because right now, our town's 6 miles wide. If one of the stations goes down, we lose the whole system. With SCADA, if one of the station goes down, only that system goes down. And for cybersecurity, the cellular is much better than the SCADA system.
Okay.
Because it's direct line of it's radios, and they have to be direct line antennas, and your frequency is actually listed with the FAA, so it's a lot easier to get hold of that. So Dave's right. Cybersecurity wise, it's a lot more protective, and you're not reliant on the direct line of sight with the radio antennas, because that can be a pain in the neck. A windstorm can come in and move the antenna, and you lose the whole system.
Yeah.
So,
And it has.
Okay.
And then you have to call somebody in to realign it. If nobody's got anything else to add, the
Just
next-
to put something on for next for the next meeting. And Jess, you want to talk about
Yeah, so I wanted to add for the next meeting, just a discussion and possibly a vote, but needs to start with the discussion. Financing of system development charge. So I would like that to be added if possible, so we can start that conversation now before the tank and everything else goes in and we're looking at what to do. I think we should start this conversation early.
could be one of the things we talk about. Depending on the numbers we get from the lawsuit, maybe that's part of what we use that money for, to defray those costs. Also, it's not bad to have debt if you're improving the system. Investment in the system actually gives you a better rating. I found that out going through SRF. So balancing the two out isn't a bad thing, but I like the idea. But let's just see where we are next month. What I would do in the future when it's something like this and something you want to propose, submit it as what's that line on the thing? Commissioners update and reports, because votes can be taken in that. So in section 4, like with Nate's here, just tell Brenda to put it on and put your name at the back end of it, and that
Okay.
way it's on the meeting, it's on the agenda, and everyone knows what we're going to be talking about. All right.
Perfect. Awesome.
Okay. What's next month looking like for everybody?
It's looking like June. I'm available every day.
All right, hold on.
the only holiday is Juneteenth, which is the 19th.
All right. What would be our normal?
Tuesday.
What would be our normal one?
The 10th.
All right.
No, the 17th.
No,
10th
you-
It'd be the 10th.
10th is the second week.
the
Yeah,
10th is
that's
the
it.
one.
I've got nothing going there, so I'm okay with it. Jess, you okay?
Yep, that is the night before the election.
Oh, you'll have 2 late nights.
That's for the schools.
Story of
Yeah.
my life.
All right.
You're not alone there, Jess.
I know you. I know, Chaz.
Nate, if you would be so kind. Could I have a
Well-
motion?
Oh, Jess, do you want to get your hands dirty with your first motion
Oh,
on the BOWC?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
no, well, no, back up. Back up.
Oh,
Yes.
different motion?
There's a
Different
motion on
motion.
the floor.
Yes,
Oh.
we have to 7.2 and 7.3 and 7.4
7.2. So review monthly abatements and adjustment lists.
out of session.
Out of session.
Second.
7.3, review and approve end of month reports.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
No,
Please say aye.
wait a
Or
minute.
do you want to do roll
We-
call vote?
No, well, we do roll call vote, but and we probably should have explained this. We kind of roll all three of them together, so we only have to take one vote.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. All right, so I move to review monthly abatements and adjustment lists, review and approve end of month reports, and sign reports and bill payable warrants out of session.
Second.
Motion's been made and is seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Todd Melanson, aye.
Nathan Madela, aye.
Jessica Funioli, yes.
Oh, that would be unanimous.
Good job, Jessica.
There you
you.
go. Helps if we explain it.
It does. a
Hey,
little
Nate?
bit.
Nate, thank you for giving her the opportunity. I didn't even think of that. So good job on that as well. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote. Todd Melanson, aye.
Nathan Madela, aye.
Jessica Funioli, yes.
The meeting is adjourned at 7:47 p.m. on May 13th.